White belly up.
This is the game. It's cat and mouse.
Smoked a turkey. Yes. He is down. He is freaking down.
Said he shot an absolute giant.
Fall obsession, baby.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of our Fall Obsession podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. I am Sam Thrash with Fall Obsession once again on the podcast and your host for this week's episode. And this week I am joined by one of our own pro staffers. He's been on the podcast before, and that's our pro staffer, Kurt Echelberry. Kurt, welcome back, man.
Hey, what's up, Sam? Glad to hear from you.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to talking to you a little bit today about how your 2020 season went.
Oh, yeah, it was different than any other season I've ever had. I guess we had a pretty good, successful season for sure. So,
well, before we get into it, like I mentioned, you've been on the podcast before. We kind of had you on right before hunting season kicked off, and if anybody is interested in going back and listening to that episode, it's episode 28, titled Ohio Whitetails, and Kurt came on here and kind of prefaced his season as we were about to kick things off and what he was excited about, what he was looking forward to. We're on the tail end of it now. We're on the back half, and I'm not necessarily wanting to pick up where we left off, but man, if you want to kind of start your recap with talking about some of your early season / preseason efforts and how those started to evolve into this year's hunting season, we'll get rolling here.
yeah, so Ohio season comes in, I don't even know, October 1st, somewhere around there. I'm not even for sure, but I think the last time we talked was September. Is that what the date was? Something like that?
Yeah, it was. I got it pulled up here. I guess I could look and see when it was published and give us a better idea. But yeah, that's about right.
Okay. I mean, just running the same trail cameras that we run Wild Game Innovations, just trying to get data on some of the deer that we were chasing. We had that new property, just a little 12-acre partial. We had just one stand set up in there, and I hunted the normal property that I hunt. That's like 35 minutes away from that property. And the farm that I used to hunt a lot, that we had a lot of good deer on, I didn't even hardly touch that this year. The only hunt that you got to see from that was my girlfriend's son, Lawton. He killed that doe with the crossbow there in the open bean field. That was a pretty successful weekend there. That was like opening weekend. So we shot the slick trick, or were they Viper tricks, I think is what we used on that.
Yeah.
And they flew true, man. I mean, blew right through her, no problem, which I mean, a crossbow should, but just looking at the exit wound on that deer was like nothing else I've seen in my past. So we're definitely glad we switched to the slick tricks. I'm shooting them out of my Elite as well. They do fly good. I didn't get to let one fly with mine this year.
Yeah, Lawton's hunt, that was really cool, and for our listeners who don't know, that hunt was on video. You were able to film it, and it is on our YouTube channel and our website and everything. So folks can go back and watch it. But man, he was so pumped, and that was really awesome just to see his emotion and how excited he got about that hunt and killing that deer. That was really cool.
Yeah, I wasn't with him. He's 12. He'll be 13 this spring. He's got like 2 or 3 deer under his belt now. I think maybe 4, maybe, I can't remember now, but
awesome.
I wasn't there for his buck that he killed, and I don't know how excited he was when that happened, but yeah, definitely with the doe, he was amped. I was too. I mean, I did a lot of filming this year and didn't have a weapon in my hand, but I'm telling you, when you're running camera, you're just as excited, because you're trying to coach them and get them on these deer and make sure they make an ethical shot, but at the same time, you're trying to keep this deer in the viewfinder it's always at last light. You barely make them out in the viewfinder. So it was just, I don't know. It was a good hunt. It was a good setup. It was 2 days. The first day we got in there and kind of seen what was going on. We didn't do any scouting ahead of time. And then I kind of figured it out the second night. We went in there and got it done.
So you said that was really one of the few times that you were on that property. I know
yeah.
in the last time we had you on here, and kind of around that September time frame, we were posting some pictures too of a really nice buck that you had. Was it on that property?
No. So that buck that I've been sending you was off our new lease, the 12 acres. But the farm that he killed that doe off of, that used to be like my number one farm. I had like 5 years history with these bucks. I know you guys got some of the pictures. There's a one with a drop tine, a really, really wide one working a scrape. This farm has always produced big, big deer. And for some reason this year, they just completely vanished. Like there was no good shooter bucks at all. I ran trail cameras all the way till late November and did not have a single shooter. The only thing that changed on that farm is the neighbors decided to put up some tree stands on the fence line facing into our field. So that is a real thing. Like pressure coming from your neighbors can really screw up your deer traffic. There's no other reason for them. I mean, the food source has been the same, like being on wheat 3 years in a row. I mean, I don't know. It's just kind of weird that they vanished, you know. And my buddy did pick them up actually on a farm north of there. So I guess they're not harvested. I know that for sure. But why they're not coming on to our place, I'd have to imagine would be from the neighbors' pressure and the way they set up the stand. So.
Yeah, we deal with a lot of similar stuff down here in Texas as well, especially with small properties. You get neighbors that hunt differently or hunt harder, or I hate to say don't care as much, but I mean, you know, they don't hunt like you do. They're not as management minded as you do, and it affects the results that you see on your place, unfortunately. So.
Yeah, that's right. You can look at a lot of other people's setups, and you can kind of tell what type of hunter they are, you know, if they got it figured out or not, just by their setups and their access points of how they're getting in there. A lot of times screw up their own hunt, you know. But sometimes you can win from their mistakes, you know. They might change the deer pattern a little bit where they're coming more onto your place. So it just depends, I guess, which property you're in. Ohio's just a bunch of like the northern part where I live is just a bunch of square wood lots, if that makes sense. It's just square after square of different patches of woods, you know, varying from 10 all the way to 100 acres. So each one of them's different. Each one holds different deer, and it's different terrain, and it can be challenging for sure.
So I know I hinted at it a little bit in asking that question about that big deer, but I know that some of our listeners are probably dying to know whatever happened to that buck, since he never really returned to our pages on our Instagram or anything like that.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's not hanging on my wall. It happens, man. You know, you get amped up, and it's almost like a fairy tale sometimes. You know, you almost picture it in your hands, you know, and then it slips away like that. But you just got to accept the defeat and move on, like I did. But yeah, this buck, we had ran pictures on him all summer, and I usually don't check my trail cameras, but about probably every 30 days, maybe 20, maybe 15 if it's in season. But I expected him to hang in there till at least, you know, mid to late October. So I went in and did my first hunt on October 20th, I think, was in there on that woods. And I pulled the card, and he'd been there like 7 days straight of opening week, like 70-degree weather, broad daylight, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 5 p.m., like broad daylight. A buck this size walking in and you know, he had to feel comfortable. But, you know, like they say, you know, these big bucks, they move on. You know, when rut starts getting close, they leave their summer territory, basically. And that's exactly what happened. So, you know, I just run regular wild game innovation cameras, you know, so you physically have to check these. But another tool I'd added to my list of expensive hunting tools that I have was a Tacticam Reveal cell camera this year. And it has made a big difference in the way I collect data and knowing how they move. And I think it's going to be a big game changer. I can see where guys are, you know, really liking these. I mean, the up-to-date information. If I would have had this in place, you know, late September through October, you would know when to go in and get it done. You know, my problem was I was too late, and hopefully he's still alive. I don't know, a buck that size, I think I would have heard about it from one of the neighbors. So
yeah, you'd think.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, you know. It's cool. That's what's cool about Ohio, you know. If you do get a big one that slips away from you, there's always one next year, you know. I mean, I just got lucky. That was my first time hunting this piece, and to have a buck like that was pretty exciting. But it can happen again, you know. And that was another thing is the bucks that were on other people's property came into this property like within that next week, and there was bucks showing up I hadn't had a picture of all year, so that's kind of exciting. But unfortunately for me, my problem is getting time off work. So I work 6 days a week, second shift, which is 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. So if I want to hunt, it's in the morning. You figure an hour drive, and then you hunt and then go to work. You're only getting like 4 or 5 hours in the stand. And you can only do that for so many days straight. And that's providing the weather's right and the wind's right to hunt these properties. So, hopefully they're talking like our schedule might cut back a little bit, maybe to like 5 days a week this year. And that's going to mean a lot to me, especially coming into turkey season, not having to take days off. You got to have time off to make it happen.
Yeah, we've had some guests on recently that really hit that home with, having the time to be in the stand is huge, because I mean, obviously everybody knows you're not going to kill them if you ain't out there. So
that's right. I value my time every sit I get to do, and unfortunately this year was just the timing was wrong, but we still got it done late season, so that was good.
So let's keep going through the year, and Lawton got his doe to kind of kick off the season, and where did things go from there?
I continued my archery season as normal. Videoed a lot of great bucks. I guess I should throw that in there. I got the opportunity to video. I bought the Muddy Tree arm. I can't remember which one it is, the Muddy Pro or something like that. I can't remember, but it's a really good arm. Really enjoyed it. Tons of footage. I hunted. I'll just say I don't remember too many dates that I hunt that are good, but November 11th, which I believe that's Veterans Day, but I know it was November 11th for sure. I videoed 9 different bucks in 4 hours coming through, and one of them I was kind of judging, like, should I shoot him? No, I don't know. And then he got past me and he turned his head, and I realized how wide he was, and I'm like, you screwed up. that one should have been going home with you. So I was kind of beating myself up over it. And then he comes in behind me 30 minutes later, and I still didn't shoot him. So I don't know, maybe just, you get the image of them big bucks in your head. You want to hold out. It's fun to do that, I guess, but it still kind of hurts at the end of the year when you shoot a buck smaller than you had the opportunity to 2 months ago in the warm weather, so
Yeah.
But it was fun. Got a lot of good footage. So unsuccessful during archery, and then we went into November, the week after Thanksgiving. We went to West Virginia, and we had my buddy Corey Lawton and myself with rifle tags, and I tried to put them in the best spots, and turned out I put myself in the best spot. So they did not get to kill, and I could have, like, every day. The rut happens a little bit later down there than Ohio. Ohio is usually, like the hot times, like the 8th through the 15th, something like that. West Virginia is probably 15th through the 28th, something like that. And it showed. I got lots of video of bucks chasing and grunting, and just nothing worth the size nothing the size that I would want to kill back in one of those deep ravines that we have on the place. I was really hoping to get Lawton his first out of state buck. And my buddy Corey has not killed one down there. He's only turkey hunted with me. So, but we got to see a lot of deer. It's fun. Got to use the cabin. That's what it's all about in the end, I guess. So.
And that's the same place that you killed that buck you self-filmed last year, correct?
Exactly. Yep. And I put Lawton in the exact spot because it is a good spot. After I did a little more scouting down there this summer, just to kind of see like what was going on down there, and I could see why there's so much deer traffic. And he did see some deer. He had which was pretty smart on his behalf. I was probably 75 yards away from him, keeping him in my view, and he said he had an 8-point come in behind him, and he was not sure who was on the other side of the hill, so he did not shoot. So that's good on his part. He let a buck go just to play the safe game of not knowing, who was behind it. It was his first time there, so he wasn't comfortable shooting that direction, and he didn't take it.
Yeah, good for him on that part, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
It sucks, but sometimes that's what you got to do. So.
Yeah, I was really hoping it was going to happen, and we got, some trespassing issues going on that side of the property too. That didn't help either. I didn't figure that out till later in the week. I took a little longer hike up the canyon there to see what was going on deer traffic wise, and there was a couple people sitting up there on our place. So they looked young kids, whatever. I just turned around and went the other direction. I'm not there to cause any problems with the kid, especially. We might go talk to the landowner and let him know what's going on, but yeah, it didn't help in our favor at all. But It is what it is.
So your buddy Jeff, he did have a pretty nice hunt and a pretty nice buck from the looks of it. And
Oh gosh.
and I know that we had talked off the air previously about, maybe trying to get him on here and to recap that story. So you don't necessarily have to tell his story for him, but give us a little hint or sneak peek at what that looked like this year.
Yeah, so with Jeff, I'll add a little bit more to that. I take care of kind of like the bigger hunts. Like, I only have time off a little bit, a little time off a week. So I try to do the big hunts, concentrate on the deer and turkey and stuff like that. Jeff, he gets like in everything. This guy does, the trapping, the small game, the whitetail, now we're late season goose hunting, and I haven't done this in like 15 years. So I'm back out doing this, the dude does it all, and he includes his son, JT, which you got to watch him harvest that turkey last spring on the youth season. And he killed an absolute stud this year of whitetail. I won't go into a lot of detail on it, but I remember I was at work. He either texted me or something and said, "Hey, I don't feel good about this night," or something was going on. He's like, "I think I might just go home." And I think I said something like, "Just stay in there." Had like an hour to go. And next thing I know, my phone rings, and like 10 minutes later, you could just tell in his voice. He's like, "Dude, I just shot the biggest buck of my life," and you could just tell it, and, I'm like, "I want a picture," and he finally got down, and like, you didn't get to see the picture of like he sent me from the actual kill site, but like Jeff doesn't get excited, man. Like, he's pretty mellow, and you could tell in his face and his voice, like, he was rattled, and everybody would be. That deer, and he didn't have any history with this deer. It just, the way it happened, it was a cool hunt. I'll let him, tell his part of it. But yeah, congrats to him. And his boy, JT, smacked a really big one too during gun season.
Oh, really?
I might have to I'll have to get you that photo. It's a absolute stud too. So they both had. I actually stopped out to their house like a couple weeks ago, and they still had the horns sitting there above the cupboard there and handing them to me. And they're like telling me the story of what's going on, and like my arm's going dead from holding all this bone. Like, there's 400 inches of bone. It felt like.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't know the total score, but I was like, good gosh, it was a massive box, both of them. So it was really cool to get to see that. So he's got a lot of taxidermy payments coming up.
Yeah, he's got to start saving up a little bit.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He'd be good to do a podcast with, man. He's got his hands in everything. Anybody's got any questions like trapping and just small game stuff. He does a lot with the youth, with Pheasants Forever, and he's about a member to every sportsman's club, and so a good dude for sure.
Absolutely. Did he score his buck?
He did. I can't remember I'm not going to say it because I don't know it. I can't remember now.
Okay.
But it's up there.
All right.
I know it was up there. And I'm sure his boys was close to that too. So
wow.
It's pretty cool. Yep. They both did good.
Well, good for them.
Yep.
Well, man, you had not a rough year, but just, several times that things just didn't seem to come together with the target bucks you were looking at, but you did end up with a buck on the ground this year. So
yeah,
take us into that a little bit, and let's talk about your deer.
Okay. This would have been muzzleloader in Ohio, January 4th through the 7th or something like that. I think I killed mine on the 4th or 5th. I'm horrible with dates, but anyways, same property my stepdad harvested a 8-point off the Vapple plot that we planted this summer, and it's a Vapple Dutch White clover plot. And then I took my girlfriend in there, and she killed one with a muzzleloader during shotgun season, another 8-point off the Vapple Dutch White clover, and then mine was also heading there. I just cut them off. I was hunting a different stand, but yeah, just I think there was probably 4 or 5 deer that come crashing across the ice on the river. I had my back to them, and I instantly knew what it was, when they were that loud coming across, and stood up, and man, they could have went it 100 different directions, but they decided to shoot straight up this ravine right to me. And I just ranged a tree over there like 20 minutes before, and I know it was 72 yards, and doe come up first, and he's a decent 8-point come running through, and I finally got him to stop. His like front quarter and a little bit of his heart was showing. I held it on him, and as soon as he took the next step, I let it rip, and the old smoke cleared. I only seen 3 deer take off, and I know there was 4. And I pulled up the binos, and there he was, laying there. So,
Wow.
yeah, I was pretty stoked.
And that's awesome when they drop right there, man. Especially after you've
Yeah.
been putting a lot of work into your season to finally get one on the ground. That's really cool.
Yeah, at the same time, I'm like, man, it sucks. Season's over now, But at the same time, I was glad to be not out in the cold weather anymore. I go hard. It takes a toll on you being out there like that in the cold every day. So,
Yeah.
but that's why we do it. It was a good year. A lot of field tags, a lot of meat in the freezer. Everybody's got some horns on the wall this year, so can't complain too much about that.
No, not at all. It sounds like the Vapple food plot's been doing some work for you. I know you mentioned it last time you were on before the season started, but it sounds like it paid off.
Yeah, and it's crazy with coming into fall, and I'm not like no good with planning stuff, and by no means, but coming in later in the year, you think that stuff would slow down and not grow as good. But I'm telling you, from like late October till December, that thing exploded. Like, it is green, all the weeds died out, and it looks great. And we were just kind of like wondering how it was going to be, versus natural farm crop. We compete against soybeans and corn, which is really hard to do. But that was kind of my idea. If I did make it to late season with a tag, I really wanted to see what this thing was going to do. And we didn't fortunately have the rough weather that I wanted. Usually you get some really good cold snaps and snow. They have to come into a food source like that. And even with just mild weather, they still hit it. We jump does every time we go into it to get in the blind, and when you leave, you're jumping deer out. And there's always deer there. We didn't run any trail cameras on that place, but I just did put one out there now for turkey purposes. I want to see what I think it's going to be a really good strut zone for turkey season.
Yeah.
So, and there's tracks there, so I know they're in it. Try to get a little pattern on those, and maybe get another youth hunt done out there on video. That would be pretty fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, Vapple product for sure, man. It's solid for sure. I mean, I don't know. I inquired some more property in West Virginia that's got like 4 acres open pasture, and I'm kind of debating to maybe try another Vapple product down there and see what it does. Maybe get another review on some West Virginia style food plot, So
Heck yeah. How big is the food plot?
it's a little over an acre. It's
Okay.
not huge. No.
Wow.
Doesn't take much sometimes. A lot of guys think they need that 5 to 10 acres, and an acre did good. It's not, I look at it every time I go out there. It's not like it's beat down. There's a lot of tracks in there, and I think they kind of hit it, for 5-10 minutes, and then they move. From what I've seen, they don't sit there and pound it all night, So that's cool. It saves a little bit of the having to go back and replant it because they stomped it out too early.
Yeah. So what kind of I wanted to real quick get into some of the gear that you use this season, mainly just for curiosity and our listeners' sake. If they want to go check out, like the muzzleloader you're shooting or something like that, what kind of gear did you run this year other than the trail cam you mentioned earlier?
So the muzzleloader I've been using, it's not a super expensive one. I think, this package you can probably get for like $260, and then I put a nice Leopold scope on it. It's a CVA Optima, nothing fancy. It's got a stainless steel barrel, black synthetic stock. Shoots very true. I shoot the Tradition Smackdowns 240 grain with 100 grains of white hot pellets, and it shoots very good. So it's an accurate gun. It's I think 3 deer we've killed with it. As far as other gear, I mean, the cell cam that Reveal by Tacticam, they're kind of hard to get hold of right now. I overpaid a little bit for mine, but the plans are cheap. The pictures are pretty clear. And like I said, getting that up-to-date info, man, it's worth it every dime for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, the Vapple plot, that was new for us this year. And any of the Vapple products are good. Like we run the mineral too. A lot of those pictures that we send from velvet season, are over The Vapple product, the mineral there. We use the Vapple scent spray. I'm sure I'm missing a bunch. I buy a lot of hunting stuff, but yeah, that's one. That's the ones that come out, that stand out for me. That kind of are a solid go-to every year for me.
So, is there anything you would have done differently looking back on this past season?
Yeah, I would have bought a cell cam, and the first like 2 or 3 days that big boy was in there, I would have went in and got it done. I'm not big on early season for killing bucks. I mean, but that's a lesson learned there. I mean, it can be done. My thing is like you go out and it's like the mosquitoes and it's hot and you're sweated up trying to get in there after you just did all this scent control. The guys that get it done early season, man, that's just as challenging as late season to me. I mean, the conditions suck really. The hunters wanting to be out there in a good cold temperature and that perfect crisp morning and get it done, and these guys are out there sweating it out to get it done or freezing like I was to get it done. So
Yeah.
I don't know, I guess no scenario is perfect, but yeah, I mean, if I would have known that buck was there the opening 7 or 8 days of season every day in broad daylight, I mean, you can't ask for much more, good info. If a camera's going to tell you that, go get it done. So I'm kind of excited for this next season to see. I'll probably add a few more. I'm probably going to get a couple more and just spread them out, see what properties do the best and go in and try to get a plan and get it done. Maybe this guy made it through, hopefully. If not, there'll be another one. We'll try again. I was just kind of sad I didn't get to shoot the elite. That was kind of, that's what hurt the worst. I did a lot of work on that this summer and had it shooting really good. And I think there was only like one buck this year. I actually physically picked my bow off the hanger to think I was going to shoot something, and I ended up letting him go. So, but we got a lot of good footage. That's kind of excited about that, man. I like coming home and watching the footage just as much as pulling trail cameras. A lot of good rutting activity this year. Like I've never heard deer grunt this much, or just snort wheezing and scraping. I got bucks making scrapes, and it was just a wild year. But unfortunately, I didn't get to harvest with my bow. But it is what it is. There's always next year.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's honestly a good segue here into one of my final points here is kind of we're now in that postseason time frame, and everybody's kind of relieved yet sad, that the season's over, but they're also looking to next year. So as you look to next year, what are your big plans or properties that you're gonna try to spend some time on?
So anybody that hunts out west and big game, here real soon, you're going to start applying for tags. So I'll probably start building some preference points, or keep my preference points built up for Colorado. I'm going to wait till I get more vacation time before I head out and do any of those hunts. But I'm going to keep my points up. And we got the West Virginia property, so we're going to do some management down there, maybe some food plots. We've got a lot of trees to plant. And try to get that property ready to see if we can maybe harvest some deer and turkey off that. That's going to be the next goal, is do a little turkey scouting here at the end of the month down there to see how thick they really are down there. Then we'll just do the normal Ohio whitetail, West Virginia whitetail, and pretty much it for us. Keep pretty low key here. Hopefully in the next couple of years, I plan on getting back out west, and then I would say within the next 5. I know it's a long shot, but I definitely want to get up somewhere north and kill another bear. So
Absolutely. That'd be awesome.
yeah, that's where I'm at, and get it on video. That's the main goal. This is kind of my first year really hitting it hard with the video thing, and man, I've had a blast with it. And I don't know for like waterfowlers or anybody that's hunting geese, but honestly, that is the hardest footage to get on film out of anything. Whitetail was easy, turkey's easy, but man, we've been laying out in these blinds and trying to get these geese on. Like, we get pretty good footage, but man, it is tough. Like, every setup's just, and the weather's never favorable. It's late season goose, man. It's rough for sure. Probably why I don't do it all the time. Jeff makes me go.
Yeah.
But we've had a blast.
Well, good deal. Well, Kurt, as we kind of start to wrap up this week's episode, I know normally we hit our guests with the rapid fire questions at the end, but you've already been on the podcast before, so the questions about your favorite memory and your bucket list and that kind of stuff, I imagine those probably haven't changed a whole lot.
Nope, not really.
So if our listeners want to hit those, then or hear those, they can head back and hit up episode 28 for sure. But one thing that I will ask you is, knowing everything that you know this season, give us one big piece of advice that you took away from this year's hunting season.
Probably for anybody that's getting into this or wants to do more of hunting, make sure you choose a job or a career if you can, that gives you more time off work. I love my employer. Don't get me wrong. The job's great, pays good, but man, I wish we had more days off work. And I understand this is going to come later on, with more years I get in, I'll get a little more vacation and stuff like that. But, even if somebody's got to take a little bit of a pay cut to get a few more days off, and if you're a true outdoorsman, I mean, that means a lot. It's bad when you got that perfect condition, you should be out woods and you're stuck at work. There's nothing worse than that. So yeah, get a job with some time off work. Don't get me wrong, make good money, work hard when you can. But I think you'll be happy in the long run that you chose a career that you can get more time off work to go do this, stuff you love. So that's my 2 cents.
Definitely applicable for the deer hunter for sure. You can't kill them if you aren't out there, as we said before. So, well, man, I really appreciate you coming on and joining us for another episode. Thank you.
Hey, man, I appreciate the time. Good luck to whatever tags you guys got coming up. Turkey season, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I think that's the next thing on most everybody's radar. Maybe a few got some bear hunting on their minds, but I know for me it's turkey hunting. So.
All right. Well, good luck to you guys. We'll keep you updated how we do up here.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep those photos and footage coming. I know our followers love watching the videos as much as I do, so it's good stuff. So.
All right.
Well, guys, thank you all for tuning in to another Fall Obsession podcast episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you have not already, hit that follow and subscribe button on your favorite podcast app. We are on all the major podcast apps. Go back and listen to some of our previous week's episodes if you guys haven't already, and we literally come out with a new episode every single Monday morning, so there's always fresh content on there for you guys to listen at. Facebook, Instagram, go follow and like our stuff. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got a lot of awesome videos on there, and some really cool stuff that we've had in the works to kind of kick off 2021 here. So all as I say, we got some cool stuff coming y'all's way in the weeks to come. FallObsession.com, that is the hub. That's where you guys can go to find all of our content, videos, photos, reviews, articles, and everything that we offer. Our online store, we got some awesome apparel and outdoor wear for the everyday hunter. And right now, actually, we have a t-shirt sale going on as part of our end of season sale. All shirts are half off, so you can go pick you up a t-shirt for $10, any one of our designs. And finally, fallobsession.com/podcast is where you guys can go not only to see all of our previous podcast episodes, but you can also send us feedback. If you guys have a topic suggestion, a question you'd like to ask in a future episode, or just to provide us general feedback, you're able to do so from there. Kurt, thanks again, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you.
All right, guys, we will catch you all again next week for another Fall Obsession podcast episode.